Pastor William Mack, thanks for joining us on the pod again.
Yeah, man.
You're looking very fine and dapper, and the word of the day for you is vivacious.
Vivacious.
As I promised, I had to use that word, vivacious. Let's just jump straight into it. 20 days ago now, is it? March,
Yeah.
April. We had ABIDE24,
Mm-hmm.
Glen Erie, Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Give me a few of your takeaways. Like, what were some of the things that stood out for you in this retreat, and then I'll share some of mine after.
Yeah. So somebody asked me recently, like, what is the number one need for pastors right now? And my standard answer has been probably for like the last year and a half is just a safe space to breathe and process. A safe space to breathe, process, be with Jesus, and if we're really lucky, be with Jesus and be in community with other like-minded people. And so, man, ABIDE24 was all those things, and it was really beautiful to have a safe space that was cultivated for people to be with Christ, but also to be with other people who've just been kind of traveling through the deserts of life, if you will, and they were seeking retreat space as well, man. So for me, one of the highlights was just I always get excited when people get to know people, right? You know, we work with a lot of these pastors in silos, and for people that we've been able to care for and love on and walk alongside, to connect with other individuals and to see like this natural organic communities beginning to bloom and blossom. That was a great joy for me. There was also like a creative component that came out of this year's retreat that I absolutely loved as a fellow creative. You know, shout out to Reverend Dakia Ellery in Lexington, Kentucky. I think she had the quote unquote mic drop moment.
Oh yeah.
She did a spoken word piece that kind of came out of a contemplative time that she spent with God while she was walking through the Garden of the Gods. We had people that were painting. We had people that were sharing poetry and prose. It was really beautiful to see how God was just kind of meeting and ministering to us in a creative way. And like I said, that stirred up something within me because I think everybody was able to sense or discern what God was doing in and through their lives in a very special, very personal type of way. So yeah, to see that community happening and forming and people carrying on and loving on with one another, and to see that creative piece just kind of present itself naturally, that was really dope.
Oh, that's good, man. So our room was different, right, for this year than it was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I was doing the computer thing, and so I was doing the projectors and all that stuff. So I actually had to sit closer to the front right of the room. And but one of the things that I think I got to do better this time around is like I get to see more faces versus the back of the heads of everybody. And being there, you know, even kind of as you're describing this and kind of the synergy and the creativity that kind of came about for me, you know, from the very beginning, it's like being more of an introvert, sometimes socially awkward in the beginning, takes me a while to warm up to new crowds. I saw that in a lot of people coming into the room, and it was a variety of things. Like, I don't know if I belong here. You know, I don't know if I'm experienced enough to be in this room. Or maybe these folks, you know, have been on bigger stages than me, and so I'm not worthy of being in the same room or at the same table. Some folks are just kind of like, I don't know why I'm here. I feel like God just stirred something in me, not a door opened, and I'm here. But to see that contrast from day one and then to kind of the final closing moments of
Right.
our last day, and the synergy again that you're describing, and how people were just like laughing with each other and praying over another, like holding one another and crying and sharing. And it's like, whoa, like, God, you just did that.
Yeah.
You just turned like a room full of strangers and acquaintances into family and sojourners. And it's like, it was powerful to be a part of that. And I think God did something even in my own heart right there in witnessing that.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you this question based on how you introduced what you were sharing, because you were talking about what pastors need most in this last year and a half: a safe space to breathe, right, to connect with other like-minded individuals. I was like, but I mean, I don't know, like, can't we just get that anywhere, right? Like, what is it about these kinds of spaces when you're brought into this kind of space before God together that is just so powerful and transformative?
Yeah.
Oh, that
It,
makes sense. It's crazy, but
no,
I
so
watched it happen
it
twice.
does, man. There's an intentionality that I think can only come from like a retreat space, right?
Mm,
Sometimes you can probably find a safe space to breathe and process within our bubble, right?
yeah,
And that's great. That's beautiful. But there's also something that is saying I am going to lay aside this time, this space to intentionally engage with God in community, like to do the hard, uncomfortable work of like, being outside of my comfort zone. The nervous system craves comfort, right? But to step outside of the comfort zone and to say, I want to meet God here. And here's what we know: when we're intentional about going to a space to meet with Jesus, Jesus is intentional about meeting us there. And so I
oh, that's
think that
good.
there is something different about us taking that Sabbath time, to take a sabbatical time, to take a retreat time, and say that, hey, I'm going for that. Even if I don't know everybody else is going to be in the space, I do know that I'm going to just let my soul breathe. And there is something special about that. I think there's a special anointing on that type of consecration and space hey, this is where I'm going intentionally to meet God. And so, yeah, it's beautiful, man. And it's transformative. It really is transformative. Like I'm looking forward to the next retreats that we get to offer with pastors, and it is my prayer. You didn't ask this question, but that as we grow as a ministry, we can begin to kind of project dates forward
Mm,
in such a way that pastor can go, okay, look, I've got two that I can choose from, and maybe I'll do this one, or maybe I'll do that, whatever the case may be.
yeah,
Because I do think that every pastor, every leader needs to kind of create a space where they say, hey, I'm setting this time aside to let my soul breathe and be with Jesus. That is so very, very important.
yep, yep. All right. Given the theme then of this past retreat, and you being one of the teachers facilitators, um, and you just kind of described the feel of the room. Did you receive anything specifically for yourself as like a takeaway from this one?
That's a great question. Yeah. So, I mean, Isaiah 43, behold, I'm doing a new thing. Can you not perceive it? Um, God is always in the business of making things new. I'm not going to preach, and inviting us into something new. And so to be in a space, like, I think as a facilitator, we're in a unique position where we have to present content, but the content's been beaten up or working on us probably for the last 6 to 8 months. And so for me, that's what this retreat did for me. It was an
Mm,
opportunity for me to just kind of literally sit still and go, what am I feeling? What am I discerning? What am I hearing? And if I'm hearing
mm,
something, is that from God, or is this some of my anxieties? And so I ended up having a lot of that came up for me to really just kind of present these things to Jesus while I was there, whether it was in between sessions. The cool thing about being a facilitator is that, yes, you're presenting, but then there's also space for us to kind of process out loud. I remember there were plenty of times that I walked back to my room. I'm like, oh my gosh, now what am I feeling right now? What am
yeah.
I sensing right now? And really having these out loud conversations with Jesus. Yeah, man, for me, that was a lot of spiritual analysis, like what am I feeling, what am I sensing type of things, that was not invaded by the everyday life, like pick up the
Mm,
kids, pay the
right.
bills, cook the dinner
Right.
type stuff. Like, you're separated from that, and I can like literally sit there, and then somebody may say something at a table that'll stir something else, right?
Mm.
So yeah, so a lot of that happened for me at the retreat.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I was even thinking, like, does it have to be a specific like takeaway, for something like this? Because what you just described, I would say, is what I think I took away from it. In that,
Mm-hmm.
um, again, being part of a group of folks who I didn't know, and or some mostly I didn't know well, and be able to have laughter with them, whether it's like over the food in the dining hall, carpooling here and there, random walks, or like even after the sessions, actually just kind of just sitting around at the tables, or
Mm-hmm.
going out trying to take nature in, and then you run into somebody and you start talking about life and getting to know somebody. There's something about that because it's out of your everyday rhythm of getting the kids or doing whatever you have to do,
Right.
and being slow enough to be fully present to what's happening in front of you, and beholding what is new.
Yeah.
I think there was something about that I found incredibly refreshing.
Yeah.
That
Absolutely.
there's something about that. I can't even like name it exactly. I think it's
Yeah.
everything seemed to come together so organically
Yeah.
that I think by the end of it, I was like, oh no, I just feel refreshed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And even if you don't
yeah,
have the immediate answer of like, oh, the new thing is this, because I won't say that I left the mountain going, oh, this is it. But I did leave going, there is something that is stirring here. And God, I want to lean into that. And I
hmm,
don't want to be afraid of that. And I do want to be prepared for whatever that is. And even if it was just that, um, that's more than I think I probably would have had I not participated in the retreat.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. All right, some closing thoughts on the retreat. Anything from you, if you want to like just shout out to anybody. I just sorry, just hit me. I wanted to thank donors. I feel like
Absolutely.
that's a big one. That's a big
Yeah.
one.
So to every
Yeah, go
single
ahead.
donor that put up with our emails and our requests, I just want you to know that you all prayerfully supported something that was a move of God that was so very deeply enriching and benefiting to the pastors who came out, and we could not have done it without your support. Like, thank you so very much. Um, we could probably go another half hour, 45 minutes, just going one by one of the stories that were shared and how great the need was. So thank you so much. I can't say it enough. You'll probably hear it again from Pastor Kevin and our administrative team. But thank you so much for your support, because that support definitely made a difference in the lives of some really, really faithful, beautiful servant leaders to continue to do the work that they were created and called to do. And we were just so very grateful for you.
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I was thinking of yeah, just the various people that donated. Some like complete like scholarships, complete scholarships for an individual to attend. Some partial, like whatever it was, But just kept thinking of like, man, like what does it feel like to know that there are people out there who don't know you
Mm-hmm.
personally,
Mm-hmm.
but they know of the work you do
Mm-hmm.
and they value the work that you do and they can understand how hard it is,
Yeah.
and they felt moved to a point to go, I want you to be healthy. I want to make sure that you're there. I think that's even just that act alone is incredibly encouraging for me to think
Absolutely.
about. It's like, it's so cool. It's so cool. Like, and it's in some of our language too, like on our website, and what we put out is that for pastors out there, I think sometimes you feel so alone, and maybe in your congregation or in the community that you're leading in, maybe you feel like you're the only person that knows how hard this is, and you don't feel like it's safe to be able to share how hard it is, because then it sounds like you're complaining.
Right.
you know but then to know that there are people, not just possibly in your community, but way well beyond. They go, no, I see you, pastor.
Yeah.
I see you, leader, and I can only imagine how hard it is, and I don't know exactly how I can help, but you know what, I'm going to help you get the resources, maybe, and get you to a retreat or something like that
Yeah.
to help you. And so I don't know. Hopefully that's an encouragement to you all out there, and an encouragement to maybe attend a future retreat. Now, do we have
Absolutely.
dates or an idea of when the next one's going to be?
We don't. We do have something in the works for an intimate marriage retreat, and then we also are looking to plan another pastor's retreat. So stay tuned, be prayerful, and I'm gonna let you know now. Like, every gift, whether it was a full scholarship or partial scholarship, or whether it was just a small donation, does help. One of the challenges that we're presented with every retreat is that there are pastors who would like to attend, but maybe they just don't have the support, whether it's travel or registration or childcare, whatever the case may be. So
Right.
again, I just want to echo and say, please continue as the Lord leads you to support the work that's happening. We are planning to do some additional retreats, as I shared earlier, and those dates are forthcoming. So thank you so much, and to every pastor, every deacon board chair that's listening to this retreat, listen to this pod. Let me encourage you to right now make an intentional plan to find some time to retreat and be with Jesus. And whether it's one of our retreats or if it's just some time away for a day or a weekend where you can spend some time with Jesus, just so he can minister to your heart and you can just be with the Father. I want to strongly encourage you to do that. There is something really beautiful about when we carve out that time. And we even see Jesus doing it in the scriptures, that there were some times after a heavy load of ministry where Jesus was just gone. And when we see him in the next scene, he's praying to his Father, or he's away on a mountaintop, or he sends the disciples on so that he can spend some time away with his Father. I just want to encourage you that life is lifing, and things are not getting easier. But I know that you are a faithful servant leader. And so I want to make sure that you are carving out that space for your soul, so that you continue to be who God has created and called you to be. So please, my brother, please, my sister, as you are planning out the next sermon series and planning out the budget and planning out family vacations, please make some space for your soul so that you can spend time with the one who loves you and has created it and called you to do the work that God has shaped you to do.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. All right, brothers and sisters, until next time,
Until next time.
grace and peace.